Good early afternoon and welcome in, everybody. Before we get going into this early afternoon update, I decided to do one here as my son's in his food therapy right now for the next hour or so. So we'll do a nice about 10 to 15 minute update here. But before I get started, I'd like to wish a happy new year to my friends in Australia, as I seen that it's your new year has already hit. So happy new year to my friends in Asia, Australia, and then soon to be in the UK. But at least for now, my friends in Australia and that part in Asia, happy new year to all of you. I hope you've had a blessed and safe flip to the new year, as we're about 12 hours away here on the Eastern Standard Time Zone here in the United States, in the great state of Michigan from 2025. It's been a crazy fast year. We've learned a lot about cycles, and we've learned a lot about each other as well. I've also learned a lot about being, not just transparent, but keeping that level head and not having the overtone of maybe what I've shown the last couple of days of frustration, but coming out on the other side without even having that judgmental tone. For somebody who might be newer to crypto, who might not have the experience level, I've got to keep a level head, and I've got to stay as even keel as possible so that I don't push away somebody who might just be asking a real question and just doesn't know. Maybe they're not aware, maybe they're not privy to the information that we're familiar with, and it might make it a little more difficult for somebody to make a decision, so they're asking a question. So I've got to do a better job, especially in the comments when I get frustrated, of responding in a professional and a well-mannered way to where you don't feel afraid or hesitate to ask me questions. So that is what I am going to be focusing on going into 25. Said a little prayer earlier so that I could have the peace of mind, so that I could stay with the positivity and not have the overtone of maybe the frustration, and then do this more in a fashion to where we're all welcome and some people aren't running away because they're afraid of what somebody might say. So with that being said, good early afternoon, 12:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, December 31st, 2024. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So from when we last met about 3 hours ago this morning, Bitcoin was about 96,000. We expected it to come back down. Even if it was going to have a bullish tendency, we had to come back down and first try to retest that 15-minute, which we didn't expect to hold. But the 30-minute, where the golden cross was about to take place and now has, now you're back testing the golden cross as support, and you would want to hold 94,000, right around 94,250 at worst, 94,200. And then that could help us first layer reverse here. If you get that first tier reversal, then your next step up would be to try to come up to that 97,000 layer we talked about earlier, and then try to push up out of here. We've got a few negative fundamentals that we have to talk about and not forget. We've got the death cross in the 4 hourly, which ends up being a lagging indicator because it shows you the death cross after it's already formed. And then oftentimes, most people will decide to go short when they see it, just to get the retest of the 200 day to confirm either the breakdown or the reversal of the pattern. So until this rising broadening wedge breaks down and gets the rejection, you've got to still maintain a level head and say, hey, as long as it's over this level, even if we're bearish, there is that chance that it could bounce all the way back up just to get the rejection, and it could even go all the way up to 122. So we got to pay attention, but right now we're still at this death cross in place. We're trying to get the confirmation of a further breakdown. It does look like a bear flag, but these can be bear traps as well. So I try to give all the information possible so that whether you're in a position, whether you're out of a position, whether you're entertaining the thought of entering or selling, I always try to give you that fundamental outlook to where you can make an informed decision, where you don't have to rely on somebody else, where I'm giving you the unbiased technical analysis to where no matter what, even if you're a bullish, bearish, it doesn't matter. I will still give you the unbiased technicals so that you can make a decision. This is the setup of a bear flag you need to break out of. Otherwise, it'll bring you down into these areas where we're tending to go down. This first area would be about 84K. But I personally believe 75K is where it would go if this rising wedge or the ascending broadening wedge or rising broadening wedge were to break down. That's where I believe it would go. I think it's measured out perfectly. We have a measured move. And then if it were to break down, I think we have it at 74,981, and it's a pretty fair target. Obviously, we could come down farther. We've never back tested in a real proficient way the breakout of the cup and handle, and that's down at 67. I don't know if we can come down there, but let's just take this buy layer. Let's see if this is in fact turning into a topping reversal. Let's see if this is some kind of right arm, because there's a speculation you could even come to 100K and then get rejected. But right now we need to get out of this forbidden zone. That means you got to get over the 200-day before you start losing out on 93,700 with the 20-day and the 4-hourly. So we're in a very interesting spot. With XRP, we're still in that pennant flag. So whether you're looking to sell, whether you're looking to buy, in the pennant flag, if you're a seller, you shouldn't be selling inside the pennant flag unless you're 100% certain that that's what you want to do. And you'll get the opportunity of a breakdown rejection point around $2.01 right now. So you'd always have the safekeeping of knowing that at least at $2, if it were to break down, you could get that rejection back test that you could technically sell. We're on the verge of a death cross here in the 4-hourly. We actually came to a rejection point, like I said earlier. And if you're going up to that point, it's a rejection tap. If you're coming down to the support structure, it's a support tap. Right now, we're not sure, because right now, we're still showing signs that this could reverse down and that this is very much could be a topping reversal. If it does break down and at some point you lose this $2, this pennant flag, the technical target's 105 roughly. Obviously, as we go down, we can continue to measure the move out. So we'll go to here just to make it a little bit more into the future. And in the future perspective, that's 108. So, I mean, it's a pretty lengthy drop if it were to come down. There's that $1.52 as I put down, because that could be a barrier where it could hold even on a drop, on a fake out. That's the fair value gap around $1.52. But remember, we have another one at 92 cents and right around 44 cents. They fill about 97% of the time. But I also preface this by saying we've got gaps that haven't filled for over since 2018 near $4, 350 area. So just because they haven't filled doesn't mean it's never going to. But when they're on the board, that means they always have the possibility of filling. And it's about a 97% ratio in these things filling. So 3% of the time you'll sneak away. In the 2-hourly, nothing's really changed from this morning. All we've done is kind of consolidated a little bit. One of the issues earlier is we did not have a big volume portfolio, which is not a great sign. That's typically a sign of going up for rejection. But that doesn't mean we can't get a further bounce. As I've continued to tell my audience, don't chase the losses. Don't force it down. If it's meant to go down, just watch the fundamentals so that you can set up in a proper and appropriate fashion for when it does go down and you can make an educated decision. We see a few things like H-bar was up over 28.3 cents earlier. Now it's starting to have a front drop here for some reason. XDC's been bouncing around this exact same area. Came up to the 200-day, which is a rejection area in the 45 if it can't push past. We came back above that uptrending support, which is your cycle uptrend. So that is a good sign when it does that. But we have to remember that death cross just took place, which means we're coming up to see if we're at a rejection or if this is just a reversal now. But with the death cross looming, we're going to have to do a lot of work to get out of this range. Otherwise, if this plays true, it could be down to 6-1, but it could also be right down to the true uptrend of the cycle uptrend when it first started breaking out, which could get you down on XDC back down to about the 4.9 cent mark. This uptrend here is from the first break point and the first consolidation, so that's important as well. It's really interesting to look at these charts today because they're in that spot where it's either a rejection or it's going to try to reverse out of here. And yeah, I know a lot of these, even when they look like they're having moves, they're just coming up lower than they were. So like XDC's up 5.5%. Could be creating a W reversal. We'll have to see. But it just came down from 8.4 cents. So even though it's come back up to 7.3, it's still about a cent shy of where it started. But that's either near nor there. I just wanted to show it because it was having some kind of volatility to the upside. For XRP, I've drawn out these downtrending resistance areas that it has to get past. First area it's trying to deal with right now. And that first area is right around $2.13, $2.12.5. After that, we'd have 222. And then after that, if it can push out, we'd have the pennant flag support or resistance. If it gets rejected here and falls out, our next real support, if it breaks this uptrend, is right down at $1.87. And then if it breaks that, you would confirm a farther drop. But right now we have to sit, we have to pay attention, and we have to not let our emotions dictate our response. I'm going to go back and see how my son's doing. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Hopefully this helped out. Hopefully this keeps you in a relative understanding of what's going on in the market. And as we know, we've got the escrow drop tonight at 12 a.m. is when they can do it for Ripple. 1 billion gets released. We've got the new year taking place today in the USA in about, depending on where you're at, anywhere from 12 to 15 hours from now. And you're going to have maybe some tax harvesting. We don't know, because if you sell it now, then it goes on the 24 taxes. But if you do it tomorrow, it's on the 25 taxes. So people are doing a lot of things to position. And some people will sell out today to balance their losses with their gains, and then they'll just rebuy tomorrow or resell out tomorrow. It's a really interesting thing people do. So in the next 24 hours, expect some volatility in crypto, especially because the stock market's closed and the ETFs are closed. So they usually use that time frame to kind of assault the markets, especially in some kind of weird downward volatility. But being going into the new year, you really have to pay attention. We don't know what's going to happen. We can see the fundamentals, we can see the technicals, but until it plays out, we really don't know. So I appreciate each and every one of you. Again, Happy New Year to the ones in Australia and Asia and the other parts that are watching that have already hit the new year. I really appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope you're all having a blessed start to the new year. We're still a little bit lagging behind you as we're in the past, and you're in the future. You're our future and we're your past. So hopefully, everything comes through the way it's supposed to. Stay transparent with yourself and have a basic understanding of what you want to achieve going forward. Thank you all so much. And I can't thank you enough for not only taking out 20,000 subscribers in the year of 2024, we also took out 30,000 in the same calendar year, which has been our most successful year since I started on YouTube. Before this year, my biggest 1 year in subscribers was 9,999. This year, however, we've had about 13,000 new subscribers just this year alone. We started just over 17,000, I believe it was, when the year started. And now we're just over 30,300. So it's been a blessing. It's been a lesson in humility for me, and also a real big understanding of why being humble and having the humility is really what you need to be, or where you need to be.